大家好，欢迎来到文美集团美国升学大讲堂。本期节目主题是如何帮助孩子找到自己梦想的大学。主讲人：文美集团美籍顾问、康奈尔大学面试官Mr. Pierre， 希望您能喜欢。
Hi, this is Pierre, admissions consultant for WinMei. Today's topic is how to find your dream school. In other words, making the decision about where you're likely to go to college for the next 4 years. So there are 8 elements we're going to consider. They are self-assessment, research, campus visits, talking with current students or alumni, considering financial aid and scholarships, reviewing admission requirements, evaluating fit, and seeking guidance. So I've actually prepared examples of each thing. So we'll go over that. So the first element is self-assessment. You want to be reflecting on your interests, your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals, and basically look inward. And, the first big decision would be choosing your major, because that can help filter out a lot of choices for you. And in the end, there are also going to be websites that can help you find your ideal college, your dream college. So this is an example of such a website. So you would sign up, answer a few questions, and then they would give you some suggestions based on your preferences. And you want to consider many different factors when you're looking at different schools beyond just academics. You want to be looking at the environment, the location, the campus size, extracurriculars, and other things that might be important, for example, like the cost of living. The next element is research. So this is the time to look up college websites, to look up rankings, possibly brochures, and you want to look into more specific things. For example, academic programs, campus facilities, things that will be available to you, like student life, for example, once you're actually at the college. And for that, I have this ranking list, which is the go-to when you want to consider specific things. So in this case, we are looking at the top colleges, and these are just some examples. So we have Princeton, MIT, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, and you can see the different information here. For example, how many people were enrolled for undergraduate, the cost of attending, and different elements like that. And then you can also enter more specific things over here if you want to search a specific school, or you want to filter things by tuition and fees, enrollment, acceptance rate, area of study, majors, and you can go on to many different fields. It's just to see some good programs in the specific thing that you're interested in, whether it's engineering or mathematics or a different major. Okay. The next factor will be campus visits. So they can be virtual or in person. And the idea is that this is going to be your preview of the layout of the campus, the facilities. Possibly you can even attend the lecture. So this would be for Cornell University, which is my alma mater. You have the option of scheduling an in-person tour or taking a virtual tour. So obviously this is Cornell during the winter. And typically in a tour, what you'll find is chances to interact with students, possibly faculty, and just get the overall impression of the school. Like the buildings, the atmosphere, the weather, of course. So it's definitely worth doing that, and most people will plan like college visits like in a trip. So they'll visit like 3 to 4 campuses that are in the same area, for example. So this is obviously going to be a really good idea because you get to see what you'll possibly be living for the next 4 years once you're in college. Okay, so the next factor would be keeping in touch with current students and alumni. So Stanford actually offers something called the Student Forum, which is basically like a 1-hour session that's only open to students that are interested in applying, and you can have live question and answer sessions with current Stanford undergraduates, and you can ask about many different topics such as housing, dining, dorm life, student life, and academics. And the best part is that it's essentially only between the Stanford undergraduates and the prospective students. So you don't have to feel the pressure to ask certain questions. You can kind of relax a little bit more and ask questions that you think will be important to know before you make a decision of going to Stanford. Okay, the next option would be considering financial aid and scholarships. So this would be the source for Harvard, and you can find many different elements of information here, like if you're a foreign student, information about FAFSA, if you missed a financial aid deadline, and they explain the process. They have graphs and charts, and you can see many different aspects of financial aid. And obviously the cost of attending is going to be really important because that might limit where you can go. But some schools are need blind, so they won't use that as a factor to decide whether you can go there or not. And I would say that typically the better schools are going to have really good plans in place, financial aid, to help you make sure that you can go there. And the rest of this page is going to be more information about asking questions about financial aid. So that's really important. You can have scholarships, grants, things like work study, that can help you pay for your schooling. There's also like plans in place to like prepaid college programs. That would be more for like parents that have been paying like a monthly installment and before their kid was even born in some cases, so that by the time they are ready for college, they can essentially cover the cost of college already. Okay, so that's really important to make sure that you're going to be able to afford where you're going to go. And there's things like financial aid that can help you do that. Okay, so the next topic is really important, and it's going to be admissions requirements. So this is for MIT, which they do their own thing in terms of admissions. They have their own admissions process. It's not a common app, and it's not like the UC app, for example. And here, this is straight from their website. They're giving you some things that you need in order to make it to MIT. Some things that you're going to be required to do. So for academics, they recommend 2 semesters of calculus, for example, 2 semesters of calculus-based physics, 1 semester of chemistry, 1 semester of biology. And you can see more specific things here. And these are the typical classes that an MIT student would have taken in high school. And they go on to tell you about completing things like dual enrollment, more advanced courses. You can also do like open courseware, taking AP classes, So MIT Open course, where dual enrollment is going to be really important because it's showing that you're going above and beyond what's offered in your high school curriculum. In other words, you're taking college courses with college students, and you'll be able to take, for example, more advanced math than your school can offer, which is something I did myself. And that can look really good for colleges. While not necessarily being a requirement, notice that they word it as academic achievement. And then they talk about your extracurriculars, which is obviously going to be really important because they want to make sure that you're being productive. And they also want to know what you're doing with your time outside of classes, for example. And so you'll see some descriptions of that there about the types of extracurriculars they should be choosing. And they have some links to other articles. And you want to make sure that you have the GPA requirements, you have the SAT scores, you have good extracurriculars, different things like that. And so the last thing, so this would be like an example of what I was talking about. So they give you like the SAT range, and they give you some descriptions about MIT. And here's even a video that you can watch about advice from someone that made it to MIT, looking back, things that they would have told themselves. Okay. The next thing is evaluating fit. So this is something that's overlooked a lot. It's the idea of how well a college fits you. In other words, you're going to have your preferences, things that you want to do, things that are important to you. You need to take those into account even after you come up with your college list. So your college list should be based on 10 colleges, approximately 8 to 10. And it should be separated into different tiers. So the first tier is going to be your dream schools, which are going to be your top choices. So it's going to be between 1 to 2 schools. Then the next tier are going to be your target schools. So that's going to be composed of 3 to 4 colleges. Those are schools that are really good, but it's a little bit more realistic to be accepted into those schools. And then you have the third tier, which is going to be your safety schools. So those are schools that you'd also be happy to go to, but they're essentially like your backup plan. And this also means that you have a better chance of getting into those schools compared to the other tiers. So that would be like a good application strategy. That's what a good college list can look like. But even after you come up with your list, you need to make sure that the college fits you. So you need to take your preferences into account, but also some general things such as academics, which is what you're primarily there to do, to earn your degree and your education. Campus culture, you're going to be living there, right, for essentially the next 4 years. So you need to make sure that you're okay with the layout of the campus, maybe the traffic, student interaction, the facilities, different things like that. For example, at Cornell, we're required to take a swim test before we graduate because there are a lot of bodies of water around the campus, so they need to ensure that you can swim. So actually, you need to pass the swim test in order to graduate. That's how important that is. Things like financial aid, which we discussed. And something that's really important would be career development. In other words, job placement. So even after you earn your degree, how well does the school do in helping people find jobs after they graduate? So that's something that should be really important as well. And of course, any other of several multitude of factors that you might consider important. Okay, so the last thing that we wanted to talk about was seeking guidance. And that just brings us back to Wenmei. So we've been helping students with admissions consulting. We have a lot of experience with different colleges, getting students into the top colleges, and we're here to help. So when it comes to seeking guidance, we are talking about asking people about their experiences, having someone look over your case and give you specific suggestions, come up with an action plan, provide you with resources. We also help with test prep, for example, SAT, which is also something that I do. So we know how to approach those things, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you.
以上是今天的全部内容，希望你喜欢。升学规划永远都不早，永远也都不晚，只要意识到了，我们就要开始行动。如果您对我们的服务感兴趣，欢迎联系我们。我们提供大学申请规划服务，帮助华人子女成人、成才、进名校。